I grew up right here in Dearborn County. Haven't moved much out of that 3 or 4 mile radius, which is probably not ununique to the people who live in Dearborn County. But yeah, born and raised in the country, and this is what I know. This is where my heart is, and there's really good people here. Yeah. I would play on the farm. It was like living out in the middle of nowhere. So as much as you can imagine, just off in the woods with your brother and little sister in tow, playing with sticks and rocks and creeks. But yeah, growing up, I did soccer for a little bit. I'm not built for soccer, but I like skiing, and I grew up with the ski slopes right across the valley from where I grew up, and that was right there. I've always enjoyed the outdoors, anything outdoors. So I'm getting into hiking in my teens and explore. Once you get your driver's license and you can just go out and you have ultimate freedom, you can find places. And when a buddy took me to the Red River Gorge, it was like the Grand Canyon, But and then from there, just the world opened up. Yeah. I really enjoy genealogy as of late. I was into comic books when I was little. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I was into comic books. I still have a bunch of them in my garage. I don't know if my wife knows, but they're out there. And when all this stuff, the Marvel Cinematic Universe hit the theaters, like, yes. Can't wait for my kids to grow up to appreciate that. I was raised I was blessed to have godly parents. My mom and dad were wonderful. My mom's wonderful. My dad passed away 10 years ago. Took us to church, sometimes drug us to church, that kind of thing. And I remember enjoying some of it. The felt people on the background for Sunday school, and growing up in that kind of environment. I gave my life to Jesus when I was 8 at a revival at the Methodist Church in Bright, Indiana, and continued on whatever faith. It was an immature faith journey as a child, but I also was blessed with parents who had put me in a Christian education. So I was in a Christian school. My grandmother passed away when I was 10, 11, so not long after giving my life to Christ. But watching my grandfather's faith journey through that moved me, and I started going to church with him as, I don't know, in retrospect, a post-mortem depression fell over him from losing his wife, and I helped be the catalyst to get him back into his daily routines. Yeah. He was aging. I helped drive him. Yeah. And it was a different church than I grew up in. He was here in Greendale, actually right across the street, and got plugged in there. And as I grew up and graduated, I continued to serve in that church, served in the youth ministry, and served in the Christian camps that we would have for the youth. And there was a camp when I was 19 years old, and it was called Chrysalis. In Versailles, Indiana. It was October 21st, 1993. We were preparing for this camp to minister to students, this 3 or 4 day camp. And we were talking about wanting to encourage them to devote their life to Christ and follow him in obedience through baptism. And it hit me that I'd been baptized as a kid, I'd been sprinkled. And I hadn't made that personal decision to be obedient in baptism. So before the camp started, I said, hey, there were 3 or 4 pastors out there. I said, you mind if let's go do this. I want to do this in front of my friends and family, and had arranged with my family to come because it's an awesome day. And we went into the pond. He baptized me, and I remember that he's still living. That was a long time ago. I owe him a pair of shoes because coming out of the pond, we both got stuck terribly in the mud, and he lost his shoes forever and ever in that. But he was not upset about it in the least. It was a wonderful experience. I have memories of my baptism every time that number goes up over in the pool and someone goes in and follows Christ in baptism. It's wonderful. Hard seasons were getting pregnant after struggling with getting pregnant and losing the child multiple times, and wondering where God is, but also knowing He's God and like forcing yourself to worship through it. A hard time. I'm gonna try to keep it together because this was it's like 10 years ago to the week, man. I lost my dad, and it's there's stuff that was said, there was stuff that was unsaid. He was a really good man. That was a hard time. It was dark. I know God was there. He's always been with us. And it was 2 weeks after that the twins were born. And God showed up again. Like just in the nick of time, you know? Enough time for me to grieve somewhat. And then He brings 2 little bundles of joy. Not one, but we were doubly blessed. So yeah, there were some dark times.
Yeah.
There's mountains to climb. There's valleys to wallow through, and I've had that experience as well. Meeting my wife was a mountaintop experience, and our travel has been wonderful, and we've navigated that. But I have surrounded myself with people who are champions of the faith, and God has put people in my life that I would have never even chosen or crossed paths with that are champions of the faith that have encouraged my journey, and I've been blessed in that area too.